In this video we are going to talk about the Naegleria fowleri, and yet most people do not know how it works or what it is. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for future updates. Your brain cells are nothing more than helpless victims releasing the wonderful acetylcholine. Naegleria fowleri starts a massacre and launches an attack of different attack particles. Some are basically little bombs that rip holes in your cells on contact so that their pieces can be eagerly consumed. But Naegleria fowleri is now multiplying, and it's also getting really scary. The amoebae engage your brain cells, suck them in, and rip large bites out of them while they are still alive. Things escalate quickly and the disease that will kill you sets in. Alerted by the massacre, millions of immune cells, neutrophils, Eosinophils and microglias invade the infected tissue. Alerted by the massacre, millions of immune cells, neutrophils, Eosinophils and microglias invade the infected tissue. Which is a problem. Your immune system is dangerous and not exactly a careful fighter. It's like burning down a forest to kill the wolves inside it. A really bad idea in the brain. They waste no time and attack the amoeba, using all the weapons available to them, from chemicals to trying to eat them alive. Neutrophils explode themselves to erect barriers spiked with deadly chemicals. A fierce battle ensues. In a single drop of lake water there are millions of viruses, bacteria and amoebae. And that isn't really a big deal. But Naegleria fowleri is different. In the summer, when humans seek to cool off and enjoy themselves, the chances are highest that both species will interact. Because this makes it hard to avoid. Millions of people regularly have contact with the amoeba, especially in warmer climates, but fortunately many people even have antibodies against it. Things turn bad when people dive or swim in water contaminated with the amoeba and water splashes high up into their noses. The amoeba doesn't really want to be inside your nose, as it is not really looking for trouble. It just wants to eat a few bacteria. Instead, it is greeted by your natural defenses. Unfortunately for humans, Naegleria fowleri happens to be exceptionally good at generally flying under the radar of your immune system. Like many amoebae, it is able to transform into different stages that help it survive. But most of the time, voracious hunter of bacteria and other critters that it devours whole and rips into pieces. Naegleria fowleri is in its trophozoid stage, during which it looks like a squishy blob with tiny arms and hunts, divides and thrives. Infection occurs when contaminated water enters the body through the nose. Once the amoeba enters the nose, it travels to the brain where it causes PAM, which destroys brain tissue, and is usually fatal. Infection usually occurs when it is hot for long periods of time, resulting in high water temperatures and low water levels. The initial symptoms of PAM usually begin within 1 to 7 days after infection. Initial symptoms may include headache, fever, nausea, or vomiting. Other symptoms can include neck stiffness, confusion, loss of balance, seizures, and hallucinations. After the onset of symptoms, the disease progresses rapidly. If you are unlucky, the tiny critter stumbles over something that actually sparks its interest. Nerve cells. Your nose is filled with a large network of olfactory nerve cells that pick up molecules from the outside and transmit their information to your olfactory bulb, the center of smell in your brain. To do their job, these cells talk to each other by releasing various messenger chemicals and recognizing them via specific receptors. One of the most important of these chemicals is acetylcholine. And it seems to attract them irresistibly, a little like moths that are attracted by light to follow the chemical signals upstream. Neutrophils, suicide warriors, begin to attack the amoebae. Individually, they have no chance against them, as the invaders are large and pretty buff fighters, used to dealing with tough enemies. So the defenders swarm the intruders and kill them either by vomiting chemicals that punch holes into them or by literally ripping parts of them off and devouring them. But the Naegleria fowleri train is still on track, and while the neutrophil attacks slow them down, they continue to follow the olfactory nerves to their final destination, your brain. The center of smell and entrance to your brain. that has not only developed a deadly taste for human brains but is also a match for our defenses and stars in dramatic headlines. And it seems to attract them irresistibly, a little like moths that are attracted by light to follow the chemical signals upstream. Neutrophils, suicide warriors, begin to attack the amoebae. Individually, they have no chance against them as the invaders are large and pretty buff fighters, used to dealing with tough enemies. So the defenders swarm the intruders and kill them either by vomiting chemicals that punch holes into them or by literally ripping parts of them off and devouring them. But the Naegleria fowleri train is still on track, and while the neutrophil attacks slow them down, they continue to follow the olfactory nerves to their final destination, your brain. The center of smell and entrance to your brain. That has not only developed a deadly taste for human brains but is also a match for our defenses and stars in dramatic headlines. Naegleria fowleri can actually fight back, itself attacking and killing many immune cells. The immune system now throws everything it has at the invader, but in vain. The complement system, tiny protein bombs that can kill intruders on their own, are easily disabled. Antibodies, usually one of your superweapons, are just destroyed or swallowed. A high fever that usually slows enemies down does nothing, as the amoeba actually thrives in the heat. The amoebae continue to multiply, fight, and devour your brain cells. A disastrous chain reaction is taking place. One major thing your immune cells do when they fight is to cause inflammation, which directs large amounts of fluid from your bloodstream into the site of an infection. So as the battle rages on without a clear winner, more and more fluid enters the brain. At this point, the human will feel symptoms that quickly escalate. It all begins pretty vaguely: a headache, fever, nausea, and vomiting. As the battle spreads rapidly through the brain, serious symptoms appear, from confusion, inability to concentrate, to fatigue, seizures, and hallucinations. Usually within a week the patient dies. Up to 97% of patients infected by the amoeba share this fate. By the time an infection by Naegleria fowleri is recognized, the disastrous battle for the brain is already so far along that there is almost nothing to be done. You cannot get Naegleria fowleri by drinking contaminated water, and the amoeba is not found in salt water. Not only do we currently not have effective treatments, how an amoeba that usually enjoys its life in open water is able to overcome our immune system so effectively. But you cannot get Naegleria fowleri by drinking contaminated water, and the amoeba is not found in salt water. Not only does the amoeba need to be flushed high up your nose, it also needs to get a good grip. And it also has to make its way through the first lines of your defenses. Ultimately, Naegleria fowleri is neither evil nor a huge public health risk. But every year some unlucky people have to deal with it. We still have so much to learn about it, and until we find a way to treat it, Naegleria fowleri will continue to be this vague and horrifying thing, hunting in puddles and lakes and sometimes pools. Usually for bacteria. And very occasionally, for people. If you enjoyed this video and want to tell us what you think in the comments section below. Hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. We will be making more digital things in the future. Thanks for watching.